You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign. Happy Valentine's Day, KLRN Radio family. This is the Wens, and you are in Wen's World.
This is Larry WACHS of the WACHS Modcast, Atlanta's #1 smartphone radio show. I'm in Wen's World right now, and I love it.
Larry, what do you think about this ongoing migration situation here in America?
Let me just say this about migrants. We don't need any more, and we're full. I don't care, illegal, legal, willing to assimilate, not willing to assimilate. No more migrants, and we're done. We don't need any more people coming in here. We just had unlimited immigration from all kinds of countries with no real vetting as to what they intend to do once they're here. Most of them have turned out all right, but there's an increasing number of them that want to just take over. It's an invasion. It's a planned invasion. And so we just got to shut it down. This is our place, and we need to take time to fix some stuff, repair, get things back in order. And then when we need you, because we don't need anybody else, we've got enough people. We've got 100 million people out of work. So there's plenty of work, plenty of workers to go around. We don't need any more. So the cheap labor express we don't need. We don't need the terrorism express, the drug cartel express. We just don't need it. It's all destructive. All the migration now is destructive, not productive. Maybe it was in 1965. Maybe it was in 1920. But even then, they had periods where, no more. That's it. They don't teach this in the schools because they don't teach the history of the country. But all the stuff that Trump is proposing has not only been done before, but the last president proposed much of it.
Do you think at some point we've lost the notion that it's a privilege to visit or even further yet to live in this country?
Well, yeah, some people I think have posited publicly that it's the Constitution extends to people who don't live in this country, non-citizens. We've got plenty of citizens. No more. We don't need you. Just get out. My top Super Bowl commercial was the 84 Lumber commercial. Did you see that?
I sure did. I Googled 84 Lumber and their server crashed. Too many hits on their website, apparently.
I was watching it and I thought, all right, where's the lumber come in? And they start in Mexico. It was really like a political message, docu commercial.
Sure.
So they start the scene, and how long was it? Like 3 minutes?
It was a long
It was a movie. It was like a mini political movie about people moving to this country.
I thought I'd inadvertently turned it to the Sundance Channel.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell's going on here?
It was a total left-wing propaganda movie. So they start in Mexico with this woman and her young daughter who want to leave their drug cartel-infested shtetl in the middle of Mexico. I thought, what does this have to do with lumber? I mean, are they making the case that, is this a comedy thing where they're going to wind up on a construction crew in the United States using 84 lumber? I didn't know where they were going with this.
Yeah.
I soon realized that they were just going straight propaganda. They had nothing to do with 84 lumber or selling products. And a lot of the Super Bowl commercials now, I think, they're not really designed to sell products anymore. It used to be, I want to sell you a bunch of Cheetos or something. And so we're going to have this wacky ad. And it's for you, the consumer. We want you to buy more Cheetos. But now, like 84 Lumber and I think a lot of Coke and Pepsi ads and other advertisers, there's more and more political message ads to advance an agenda. Because the big corporate CEO is either in league with the government, probably a crony capitalist who wants cheap labor, so they push this political message that migration to this country, open borders, is just wonderful. So they show that the woman and the young girl, they sail through Mexico to get to the United States.
It was really easy for him.
It was incredibly easy. I would say not possibly easy. In fact, I would go so far as to say it was a complete and utter fabrication of how they got from their drug-infested cartel shtetl in Sinaloa, and they escaped to the United States border to seek a better life without getting taken advantage of in some horrific way or being killed.
I thought the exact same thing. There was such chivalry on the back of that truck.
The hobos on the train they took in the middle of nowhere to get to the United States, chivalrous hobos helping them. They were poor grooming, but they're victims of that, and they looked shady as all get out. And plus, they're sitting in an empty car, squatting, if you will, in an empty car on a graffiti-laden train. The graffiti doesn't go away in this nice Mexico. And then they get rides in the backs of trucks from caring, kind strangers in Mexico. And I'm thinking, these Mexican people are so lovely. Why are they getting out of the country? Why would you want to flee and risk your life to leave such a country where everybody's so lovely to you?
Indeed.
It was just absurd. It was so stupid. And the little girl, she thoughtfully, along the way, she takes pieces of trash and weaves them into an American flag to show us when we get there that she's ready for assimilation. If it's such a great country, why are they trying to leave it? They acknowledge that there's a lot of trash on the path to the United States, but we never see anybody actually trashing the place. Everybody's nice. The graffiti's all over the train. You got to ask yourself, how did the graffiti get there if everybody's so mannerly and orderly and helpful and nice?
Must have come from America, obviously.
And how did they avoid encountering the people who do put graffiti on the trains and do leave trash? And no dead bodies were encountered.
Right place, right time.
They dodged every conceivable obstacle to get to the United States, and it seemed like they did it maybe in a couple of weeks, maybe a week.
Yeah.
With no delay. No delay. I sat there watching this 84 Lumber commercial, and I thought, why do people even bother to fly on planes or own cars in Mexico? It's so easy. You can just get anywhere you want. It's like they have an Uber network of hobos on trains. It's like Uber hobo. Huber. It's just such a lie. It's so pernicious and terrible, and people believe it, too. There's so many paid malcontents in this country now. It's just open civil war. We're having a civil war now with that Berkeley riot and everything.
Oh, jeez.
And the same people who want the migrants to come in to replace us. It's white genocide, and it's all a civil war started by all the billionaires, Soros and all these left-wing billionaires. And it's just unbelievable. And it's happening. But I just ordered a bunch of weapons on Amazon to get ready. I don't know what to do. I'm ready, but I don't know if I'm ready. I've never encountered anything like this. I have this normalcy bias.
Well, the best thing to have is a sword. You never run out of ammo, and it runs on sheer will and muscle.
Sword, but, when you go to the mall, can you take it with you and put it in your pocket? I was reading this book about, some Navy SEAL operative said, here's what we do when we're in dangerous areas, and you can adapt it to your neighborhood. I'm thinking, what? Why am I reading this book? I'm like, maybe it could come true. I don't know. But the things are like, get this. You need a gun tucked here, and you need a knife tucked here, and into the seam of your pants, I like to put in a handcuff key in case I get. I'm thinking, how much of this is going to apply to me?
And then my follow-up question to the handcuff thing is there only one key for every single pair of handcuffs ever made?
I think there's like a universal key that fits all
dumb.
Standard.
If you're gonna kidnap somebody and hold them hostage, I want handcuffs that nobody has a key to.
Yeah, I don't know if they think. I don't even know if the cops. It seems weird to me that they sell a handcuff key on Amazon.
Yeah.
And the cops don't know about it. You would think by now they would know about it and counter it, get some kind of handcuffs that aren't sold on Amazon.
Totally, because if I'm robbing a bank, I'm going to pre-order handcuff keys off of Amazon and have them deliver it the same day.
Right.
So I unwrap the box. There's my handcuff key. Mm-hmm. So I have everything I need. Thank you, Amazon.
Yeah, I'm beginning to think I got ripped off by ordering that. Because I'm thinking, I can get out of, a drunk driving arrest or something.
Sure.
Just diddle with that and leave.
Exactly.
And not that I drink and drive, but I'm just saying if I get
hypothetically
pinched in some way. But now I'm thinking like they probably already countered my purchase with extra complex handcuffs. So I don't know what to do. I'm reading all this stuff like we're having a civil war. I mean, we kind of are, but how far is it going to escalate? Is it going to be every city is going to be like Berkeley or just like isolated lefty areas? And are they going to maybe I think Trump has started to drain the resources from these billionaire agitators. They've like cut off their funding. I mean, he's doing it behind the scenes. But I don't know how effective he's been. I hear on one hand like Soros is behind it, but Soros is also running from the law now that Trump's in. He's trying to hide his financial networks, and his son is taking over and blah blah blah. But I don't know. It's a very tinderbox situation. It's not deflaming; it's inflaming even more. They've got these little hives all over the country of whether it's a mosque or a university or a media outlet. They have all these non-governmental organizations that are helping, fuel this invasion. And I know a lot of people who are Americans or on the right, they say, well, we've got guns and we've got ammo, and they don't know what they're doing. They're just snowflakes. But it's like, I don't know. I think they're backed by some clever people, the left. I think they've got some real killers, real fighters. They got a good foothold into this country.
Sure, the writing room is packed. I mean, the people that are pulling the strings, planting ideas in the minds of the weak.
They've got some clever operatives, and I wouldn't overestimate them, but I wouldn't underestimate them at this point. I think a lot of people are underestimating them. Very few are overestimating them. There are some, but it's hard to tell if they're going to be right or wrong. I don't know their track record.
Larry, you think it'll be long before we see that Trump wall built?
That Trump wall can't be built fast enough, in my opinion. And I've been doing some research. Do you know what the Trump wall is going to have?
No.
Here's what's probably going to happen. They're going to have it's going to be massive, but they're going to have, before the wall, they're going to have hidden pits filled with spikes, and they're going to have moats for at least a mile in front of the thing.
Nice.
It's going to be real 52 BC medieval in there. And then they're going to, they'll have the modern stuff. I think they're going to have landmines. They're going to have drones. They're going to have lasers.
Like the Temple of Doom.
Yeah, it's gun turrets, all kinds of stuff, but modern stuff. I mean, these people think twice about even approaching or looking at the wall. I don't think they'll be even able to see the wall. That's how backed up this wall is going to be. I've been reading about it. This is real people telling what they know about the Trump wall. If I could make a suggestion, I would say to Trump, put a Topgolf on there. It would be a hell of a lot of fun.
People serving drinks while you're waylaying the migrants?
Yeah, you have how great would that be to have a Topgolf on top of the wall at various locations? Bring tourism, money into the thing. You score points by creaming the invaders on the head with a golf ball, and the golf ball sprouts a spike on impact. How great would that be? That would be phenomenal. But this wall is really something else, and they got to get it going, man. That's why they're fighting it tooth and nail, because they know it's going to shut down all the cartels. They won't be able to get near this thing.
I think there should be a reward for the potential migrant who makes it through. Like, if you can make it through all 8 levels of doom.
Well, that's a great idea. Trump, in his knowledge of reality television, could make a show. Like, America's Next Top Invader is the show. That's a great show. It's a great idea. Trump will make money out of this. And there's going to be people who want to get through this gauntlet. And, all right, give it a shot. It's like Hunger Games.
And it would fit America, too, right? Because you get the strongest, you get the fittest. So if you're strong enough mentally and physically to make it through, we want you. People that make it through, the one person who is America's next top invader, that's the kind of grit and will that we want in America.
That's exactly right. I want that guy on my team. Those are the people who've earned it. I think they should be in the cabinet of the president.
Yes. How'd
you do it? I got to show you. They should go right to the top of the Army. They should be one of our top Navy SEALs. And the Hunger Games is so popular. And this would be immensely popular. That's a great idea. So it can't come soon enough. We're being full-on invaded, folks. It's on. There's no mistaking what's happening now. You're a fool if you don't think we're being just invaded on purpose to kill all the white people and get them out. That's what's going on. And Americans get it now. There was a time when we were in the dark. I was one of them, but I think now it's an open secret what's going on. And I think everybody knows now that the invasion is on, and it's the people versus the invaders, and civil war going on in the streets through college students and media people.
Well, if you think about it, college students and media people know best. I mean, they're the producers in society.
Well, they've had a monopoly. They've had no competition. And as soon as you insert competition into a system, the weak scramble. and they go away. That's what's happening. Inviting new ideas into the mix and challenging people to do better. And the people have had this monopoly to themselves. Media people have been unchallenged for decades. Now that they're being challenged by the internet, they don't know what to do. They're taking money from the State Department to put on propaganda. They're fighting. They're fighting the American people, their audience. They don't care about the audience anymore. They just care about their seat at the table of power. And same thing with the college professors are just terrible people with horrible ideas that they tell our kids. They're the ones telling them all this leftist bull crap. They tell the black kids that the whites are born racist. That's why they behave the way they do. There's classes. This is what all these, ethnic studies and gender studies classes are all about. It's propaganda. It's indoctrinating minds into cultural Marxism.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls? Start saving thousands in interest and fees and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Out of Control Atlanta Traffic Watch. The Out of Control Atlanta Traffic Watch.
It is out of control, but the one who is in control of all things ATL traffic, the one, the only, the voice of Atlanta traffic, Mr. Chris Monroe.
I have my hand on the joystick.
Up, down, left, right, A, B, start, select.
Yeah, right.
If only it were that easy to control the land of the never-ending crash.
And you know what? They're about to start the 285-400 reconstruction project.
Oh, yeah.
Right now. You know the one I'm talking about? It's like $800 million. It's almost like $1 billion to rebuild that.
Oh, my. The worst part of 285.
At the King and Queen building.
Oh, my gosh. In Sandy Springs?
Yeah, they say it's going to be $800 million, but $800 million. You know it's going to be $1 billion by the time it's over.
Oh, you said 285 and 400. That makes sense.
Yeah, 285 and 400. So that entire thing is being rebuilt in a Spaghetti Junction-esque style.
Oh.
Because that was first built in the late 60s. Mm-hmm. So it's been a little outdated for a little while. You know where 285 east of 400 north goes into the left lane?
It's kind of a mess over there.
Yeah, kind of a disaster, but it's going to be really bad for the next 3 years while they tear all that up.
You know, I think they could come with a more pleasant name than spaghetti. If I look at a bowl of spaghetti, it's utter chaos. And then you throw in some meat sauce. You can't even see the lanes anymore.
Some bolognese.
Some bolognese.
Marinara, margarita, whatever.
It gets complicated at Olive Garden. There's too many damn choices.
You know, it really does.
But this is exactly what Atlanta traffic has turned to, a cluster F, which someday I hope that all of this will come to fruition finally. And then by the time that happens, there'll be more potholes to fix, more roads to open, more to close, and so on and so forth. Mr. Monroe, where is the salvation in this equation?
You know, the South Metro Express lanes did open, though. They're officially open now.
Well, on the south side, that's great for them because those poor souls have been dealing with this forever.
Especially on any day before or after a holiday is always a just absolute abject disaster down there. And it's gone well so far. I mean, they're still free for another week, I think. I don't know if you still have to have a Peach Pass. But you're going to be able to like zip in between McDonough and Stockbridge and Monroe without any major issues using the Express. So it's going to be cool. And on your route, Mr. Winsler, Mr. J-Dub, They will be open soon along the Northwest Expressway there in 575. So.
They are down to a mere 7 porta potties. That's the count from exit 14 down to Barrett Parkway.
Yep.
Very exciting times.
Very exciting.
Indeed.
Good stuff.
Well, you walked in here today, Chris, with a little bit of swagger, a big chip on your shoulder, and I can't help but wonder if you've been fanning the flames of...
He's got the voice to swagger. Got the voice to swagger. Got that voice. Well, we're always trying to fan the flames of Tinder, and sometimes it's a roaring fire, and sometimes it's just some glowing embers, and sometimes it's barely kept on life support with that just, the fire after you've had it the night before and you go back in, you've still got just a little bit of that.
Well, so when they say when there's smoke, there's fire, and there's always smoke emanating from the loins of the great voice.
Well, there might be. So, you remember, as you might recall, in one of our previous sessions that we talked about.
Previously on Fanning the Flames of Tinder.
Yeah, right? So we, I actually met a girl in an international city when I was in Norway over Christmas.
Oh.
Yeah.
The Nordic track. Bring it.
Yeah, the Nordic track, baby. And of course, she ended up being kind of a disaster mentally, which, go figure, right?
Yeah, you'd think you'd get more stable relationships on Tinder than anywhere else, church or even a good old-fashioned dive bar.
Well, I'm just talking about women in general. They're no matter, they're all it's the hot crazy scale, baby. Hot crazy scale. Hot
unicorn
crazy axis.
Or dude.
Yeah, unicorn or dude. So anyway, she was like, I just don't want to fall for you and all this, and I'm like, you're just playing around. I'm like, we're just talking, man. We're just, and so she said, I got to talk anymore. And so a couple of weeks go by, and all of a sudden she, just texted me out of the blue last night. Of course, she's 6 hours ahead in Norway too, so it's 6 p.m. here. It's midnight there, and she never sleeps. So anyway, so she texted me, and I just wanted to say hello.
God, do you know how much that text probably cost her?
Well, this was on Facebook Messenger.
Oh, okay.
You can message around the world, for free.
How about that?
Yeah, you don't. No, well, a text to an international country doesn't cost you anything if you're in your own country.
Well, what about with my burner phone? Is that going to cost me more?
Listen. As far as your,
I texted
your Heisenberg burner phone from,
well, the Saudi
Breaking
prince promised me $300,000.
Oh, he promised me $300 million. So
oh, really?
You got a
I see
deal.
what's happening here. So, is he legit or what? Am I getting played?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead and just deposit that $10,000 in that bank account.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, all I had to do was give him my social and my firstborn, so it's pretty worth it.
Yeah,
I think.
no, there's no doubt, man.
So, what's the latest? You guys are it's on the back and forth on the crazy meter. And,
so she just reappeared and sends me funny stuff all the time. Oh, you're so cute now. And then the crazy goes off the deep end. So.
But this is the chick that you met in New York, right?
No, I actually met her in Oslo.
Okay, but she's the one that came back to the States.
No, she's never. I don't think she's ever been to the States.
So this is a different girl?
No. This is the same girl we were talking about meeting in New York.
Oh, okay. Maybe in my mind you had already met on the bearskin rug with the champagne.
No. We have not. We have not fanned the flames of the loins quite yet. We have not intertwined thy loins, at least together physically in person.
Sure.
But anyway, I digress. We met in Oslo in the hotel lobby.
That's right. And you had a drink at the bar.
Yeah.
She had a martini, correct?
Yeah.
That's right.
And I had an appletini. So.
Very nice. Fine choice. I don't care what anybody says.
Right.
A man's man can always enjoy an appletini.
They're good.
Allen Iverson's favorite drink, by the way.
They're good.
They are delicious.
Yeah.
Get a nice little cherry in there.
Oh, man.
What's the goal here? Do you have a spreadsheet with your next target, or
well, there's always a spreadsheet. I mean, obviously the goal with Tinder is, when you're fanning the flames, is tonnage. Okay, it's breadth of numbers. It's a numbers game.
Sure.
So you're swiping. Okay, you're expanding your horizons. You're taking your profile. You're going out different mileage, different areas. You can actually select. If you're in Atlanta, you have it's called a passport. You can swipe in any city. You don't have to be there. So, but you're always, and then you kind of put it into the spreadsheet. You run an algorithm, and then it goes on a score basis, and on whether or not you're going to score. So,
interesting. Now I got to know, where is most of your target area? North of I-20, I could assume.
It just depends.
Really?
Just depends on whether or not you have a little bit of that jungle fever.
A little cream in their coffee there, Monroe?
Yeah,
I see you. I see you spitting some game around here to some of our.
Come over here.
Some of our diverse coworkers here.
They say, "Oh boy, he cute. He got them blue eyes."
They're thinking about the babies that can be made. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
And there is somebody here, and this may come up in a future episode, but there is somebody here that Monroe's had his eyes on for a few months. And you never know.
Well,
you never know. It could pan out in the long run.
And the problem for me with the fanning of the flames of Tinder thing is that V-Day is coming up very quickly.
Venereal disease day?
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Wrap it up.
So, yeah, but everybody wants, even if they all expect something.
Sure.
So I'm going to have to take out a second mortgage to fund.
You have a lot of cards to send out this.
I'm going to fund. Well, cards. They want 1-800-Flowers.com.
Oh, or instead of flowers, you got to buy them a meal.
Right. Or something.
And give them a hot and a cot. You know what I mean?
Oh, well. Yes.
DAC Quattro de Febrero is on the horizon here. And
DAC Quattro de Febrero. That's very good.
I think you could totally buy one of those old-fashioned packs of Valentines like we used to do in elementary school.
Oh, yeah, when you got the little,
Back when they weren't training us all to be effeminate homos like they are now in public school.
Right.
When you can actually tell a girl that you like her and kiss her in the back of the classroom.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's sexual assault.
Oh, yeah, you go to like some juvenile school for that now.
Yeah. But go ahead and buy one of those giant packs. You can go Disney. You can go something light. Or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, my personal favorite. But just go ahead and write them out. Send them off, and they'll think it's so cute. It's a novelty. It's like, oh, it brings me back to the old days, back when men could be men. And
you know what? That's an excellent idea.
It is, and they're like $3 a pack.
Yeah,
you get
right?
A pack of 30.
Yeah,
knock them out, and then what you do instead of spending money, you say good for one 15-minute massage. And so how that's going to work is you give them the massage, they're all relaxed, and then you win at the end also. So it's a win-win. You save money. And you win at the end of the night. You're welcome.
Massage with happy ending.
And you don't even have to go to Buford Highway for that.
Right.
Take them down to the Monroe Manor. ITP, of course. This man lives inside
Monroe
the perimeter.
Manor.
Chris, give him something good, baby.
Don't get down. Oh, yeah. Powerful and mighty. All the women love him. Yeah. Fanning the flames of Tinder, getting girls a panties, all the women know power. Yeah.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your website, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, you will not believe who I have on the phone right now. somebody who graduated college with a degree, a bachelor's in fine arts, as opposed to the ugly arts. Author Sarah Bennett. Sarah, how are you today? Welcome to When's World.
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, man, it's so good to have you. I've been reading your book, F Love. One Shrink's Sensible Advice for Finding a Lasting Relationship, written by you and co-authored by your dad, right?
Yes, and thank you for knowing he's my dad and that we're not husband and wife. That mistake has been made one too many times during this promotional process.
So this book talks about you growing up and your dad being a psychiatrist. Now, did he have patients inside the house, kind of like something out of that 80s show, The Growing Pains, or?
Well, he is Canadian. So in that way, he is a lot like Alan Thicke. But the one thing is my mom is a shrink, too, actually.
Oh, wow.
And when I was little, they both worked in public health. So my dad would see patients above our garage after work, but mostly they were at this public mental hospital in Boston. But that did definitely shape me as a child into an adult, because that meant the dinner table conversation about work always involved very, very crazy people. My father would say, ask my mom what she would have done with the guy who came in that day, who he had met with in clinic, who, thought the alphabet was out to get him. The stories involve stuff that's probably too disgusting to talk about on the radio. But I'll just say lady who was infatuated with toilets, because these are the stories you remember when you're a little kid. I think that was engendered in me as a child, hearing about crazy people and the kind of things they did in public restrooms. But it's just never left.
You should definitely embrace that. I mean, I think one of the most undervalued things in society is the courtesy flush in the public restroom. My
father would probably say something like, yes, it is a courtesy, because you were keeping some of my former patients from having lunch every time you left. Yeah, that's how I always illustrate how my parents and their coworkers always had to have a sense of humor, because if you don't last very long in that job. And in the chart of the woman who liked to dine out at public toilets, somebody had written, her teeth are amazing, exclamation point, exclamation point. There were always funny notes in the charts that my parents would talk about when they got home at night. That was my exposure to shrink. And also the formation of my sense of humor, that it came a lot from my parents, and my parents had developed this dark sense of humor based on, what they saw at work every day.
And I can for sure hear your sense of humor through the words on the pages in the book, F Love. And this book really does give the middle finger to most relationship or romance-based self-help books. What was it that encouraged you and your dad to collaborate on this book itself?
Usually self-help makes people feel responsible for everything bad that happens to them. That's the flip side of when a book tells you, you have the power to control your own happiness. You have the power to find the man or woman of your dreams. It feels exhilarating to think, wow, I can control these factors in my life. But the fact is, you really can't control those things. And then when they're out of your control and you can't find the person of your dreams, or you can't force yourself to be happy, you feel like a failure. And it's totally unfair to you. So in that way, we are the anti-self-help, in that we are trying to get people to understand what they can and can't control in their own lives. Sort of accept what you can't control and learn how to manage it and work with what you can.
I've been out of the game for so long, and things have changed. Back in the day, you actually used to have to go out and talk to people, and there weren't the dating apps, there wasn't hookup sites, but all that's changed. What role do you think these dating apps and social media has played in relationships, romantic relationships in America?
The convenience of online dating, I think, is making it so people burn out a lot faster, and they learn and they lose perspective on what they really should be looking for. It's so easy to sometimes meet people that you're not looking at things seriously. You're sort of getting distracted by nonsense, because there's always another date the next day and the next day and the next day.
Right.
So that guy is on the cusp of burnout, whether he knows it or not.
If it doesn't work, whatever. I got a new thing around the corner,
I also worry in general, at the readings we've done, and like I said, the majority of patients that come in complaining about burnout are women, my father's patients. And most of the people at the readings we've done for this book are women. And I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday who has nephews that are 16 and 18, and I was like, I've got to give you copies to give to your nephews. because they're teenagers. They're not looking, obviously, for marriage. But as my dad always says, like, it's good to develop these habits at a young age, because boys especially don't think of dating as a means to an end necessarily for a long-term relationship. And I worry that a lot of guys, the only checklist they've learned of, like, what they should look for in women is what they hear in country songs.
Right.
Like, does she wear skin-tight jeans? Can she ride the back of a pickup? Will she go for the party at the riverbank? Like, this is not important. You have to be thinking, does she seem sane? Because a lot of men don't keep an eye on that. Like, she's exciting and she seems interested in you, judging by the fact that she just said she wants to have your babies 10 minutes after meeting you. But do you think it's good to let her know where you live? To give more thought to what relationships are about and what a woman should have or a man should have aside from making you feel good.
Right.
I mean, women, we're trained to think of this stuff starting in, like, our tweens. All those girl magazines have quizzes in them like the ones in this book. That's what inspired me to put them in. We're thinking of, like, who's the right boy for you from the age of 12? And guys aren't really conditioned to think that way. So I would love more guys to pick up books like this, not books like You Are the Key to Finding Your Dream Girl. Like, those books are nonsense.
Yeah.
So you can get a good idea of who you should be with and not waste time on women who are crazy or women who don't really care about you or just relationships that aren't going to go anywhere.
And again, if you're just joining us, we are with author Sarah Bennett. Her and her dad co-authored this book. It's called F Love. It's one shrink sensible advice for finding a lasting relationship. And you were talking about the checklist, right? And there's 8 great chapters in this book that talk about the basic things that people put, I guess, on a dating profile. They say, well, I'm looking for somebody with charisma, but they have to be pretty and there has to be chemistry there. And they have to be good communicators, funny, and no crazy family members, and also pretty smart. And did I mention rich? So I think it's really like super cool that you guys pick these apart by the chapter, and I'd like to cover the first 2 chapters. And of course, the first one goes into charisma. I was hoping author Sarah Bennett could help us dissect this chapter.
Sure. You know, all of these qualities are things that we don't think any of these things are inherently good or bad.
Right.
It's not good to just want to date someone based on their looks, obviously, but you can't date someone that you're not attracted to at all who you think is ugly. It's just not going to work. So what we're saying is don't get blinded by these qualities. Learn how to judge them correctly. So if you meet someone who's very charming and charismatic, of course, that you can think, well, that will keep things interesting and, you know, there'll always be a spark. But there can't always be a spark. A spark either turns into a fire or it burns out. That's the nature of a spark. Someone who's really charismatic can also be using that charm all the time. You know, I think my father at one point calls it Bill Clinton syndrome, where you get everyone charmed so quickly, and it's so exciting to you that you don't know when to put the brakes on. You don't have a sense of loyalty when you're blinded by your own charisma and charm. So it's important to look closely at the other qualities someone has. If someone's charismatic, keep an eye out for whether they're abusing that. You know, they probably work in sales, or are they, you know, using that just to make a living, or are they maybe manipulating you and other people?
As you put it in the book, charisma corrupted.
Exactly. It's like I said, if you're not taken with someone, if you don't, and also people with charisma have very easy chemistry, which is another chapter. And chemistry, of course, again, something necessary, but there are people who can have, especially charismatic people, who can have chemistry with anyone. I think we say they can have chemistry with the couch. They can get the couch to move itself upstairs. That doesn't mean that you should be with them, though, because they, like I said, they might not have that sense of loyalty and fidelity if they can charm anyone. Or they might also feel like they have to give attention to whoever needs help the most. So they won't prioritize you over their best friend who is going through a crisis, or, you know, if their mom is a drama queen and is constantly calling, you're always going to feel last in line until you start to complain. So in terms of, you know, someone who is very charismatic, it's the easiest thing to fall for. It's the most dangerous and attractive quality on the face of it, and most irresistible. That's, I think, why we put it first.
So if we were going to go on to the next quality, that quality would be beauty. And I love how you point out that there truly is somebody for everyone. And you mentioned the story, the people at the hospital. You know, some of the most jacked up looking people that would come in, those were the people that were actually married in the experience that he shared in the book, right?
Always. My mom, she once had this woman, it was a farmer's wife. This was a lot of apple orchard farmers. This woman had a full bushy mustache. In my mind, like a Larry Bird 80s mustache.
Nice.
If that's top shelf mustache. I am from Boston. Then she ran into this woman's husband. Of course, this woman's married in the hallway, and they have matching mustaches. And that's what it means to me. If you are physically repugnant, and I mean that in terms of the patients weren't just crazy that my parents had, but they hadn't bathed in months, or, they had doo-doo breath from, literally eating doo-doo. They were always the most likely to have a spouse on their chart to be married. And then when you'd say that, when they'd announce it in rounds, the doctors would in unison go, there's someone for everyone. Because the truth is, if you expect there to be someone out there for you and you can't find them, you're going to feel terrible. When it has nothing to do with who you are, it has a lot to do with luck. People that seem to have the most luck finding partners are the kind of people you would not want to share a subway car with.
Right.
It has nothing to do with who you are as a person. Don't feel like a failure because you haven't found that someone that must be out there. Sometimes that someone isn't necessarily out there. And if they are out there, it's no indication of the kind of person you are. You're not alone because you're gross or because you're mean or you're not worthwhile. You're alone because you have some bad luck or you live in the wrong place or you don't have the best of social skills. As someone who grew up in Boston surrounded by MIT and Harvard people, I've certainly seen enough awkward adults in my lifetime. It's not a judgment on you. You should not feel bad about yourself because you're single. Because a lot of the people that are never single are so yucky.
I was never the prom king, really fat in high school, so dating was kind of just only something I saw in the movies or on dinner and a movie on TBS on Friday nights. What kind of dating or romance advice would you give to both sides of the proverbial looks coin? So a word of wisdom for the homely and the beautiful.
Well, yeah, what's interesting is my father telling about the cases he's seen of having patients that are really beautiful. And, as I've been I can't say I was a nerd in high school. I am a nerd today. I am a lifer as a nerd. So for me, it's oh, yeah, they're gorgeous. It's so hard. It's
right.
No, I realize if you're very good looking, it's very hard to tell if someone wants to be with you because they like you or because they're a creep and you're a good accessory. Right. They just like being seen with you, but they don't really care about you. And if you go out, how many creeps are constantly going to be all over you, how hard it is to get them out of the way to meet people that are actually worthwhile. And also, even if you are with someone, there are definitely cases my father has seen where people are together for a long time and age, and then one party loses interest because, that person doesn't look as good as they did 15 years earlier. When ideally, in a partnership, you're not with each other because of your looks to that degree. Again, you can't date someone you think is ugly, but you have to know that if you're in a long-term relationship, if you're in it to win it forever, gravity is going to take hold. That person is not going to look the same at 50 that they did at 25, and it shouldn't matter. You should be partners together and have a household or a family together and sort of roll with the punches in terms of stuff like the superficial qualities that you have. But if you're really good looking, you can get caught up in, someone fawning over you and find out in 10 years that they're out the door and they're finding someone 10 years younger. I learned to actually have empathy for very, very, very good looking people. I thought, cry you a river, you're a model. It's no, they have problems.
I love how the book points out that we're always told it's what's inside that matters, but unless there's that initial physical attraction, maybe the latter part of that or the discovery of who they are on the inside may never happen.
The longer you push yourself, the more attached that person gets, the more frustrated you get, until eventually you're probably going to kind of lash out and be nasty to this person who doesn't deserve that at all, right, and really hurt them and get angry at yourself. And you're also going to burn out quicker. Like was talking about with online dating, you have to set very clear parameters for what you're looking for and make them smart. In the same way, if someone's really nice, but you just don't feel it, don't push it. You're going to burn out. You're going to hurt them. You're going to hurt yourself. There's got to be some sort of spark there. You can't manufacture it, no matter how much you want it to be there.
Getting the ideas and the thoughts of kids whose parents are shrinks, I think it's really cool. It lends a lot of credibility to the topic at hand, especially because you co-authored this book. It's so huge.
Well, thanks.
We got to reconnect next week. It's been so good talking. Sarah Bennett co-authored the book, F Love, One Shrink's Sensible Advice for Finding a Lasting Relationship. Sarah, always good to have you in Wins World. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
This is Wins World, and it's Weird Science time.
Oh, yes, indeed, it is Weird Science time. And, of course, we bring our friends back from our favorite organization out in the great state of California, Reasons.org. Our good friend, Dr. Fazale Rana, better known as Dr. Fuzz. Dr. Fuzz, how are you?
Joey, I'm doing well. How are you?
We're doing great here. And Anastasia really dug deep with this latest topic. And so I want to pose a question to Dr. Fazale Rana. We've always heard of knights in shiny armor, but what about knights in slimy armor?
Yeah, well, that's a little gross, but it's interesting because the Navy is actually thinking that they could develop some pretty advanced technology based on the slime of hagfish, or sometimes they're called slime eels. This slime has really unusual properties that they think can be used, again, to develop technologies that would benefit naval operations.
Dr. Fuzz, tell us about the hagfish and its unusual defense mechanism.
Yeah, well, this is really a kind of a bizarre creature. It's actually been on the planet for almost 500 million years.
Wow.
And in fact, we've got fossils of hagfish that go back 300 million years ago that are identical to hagfish that are in the oceans today. And it's a tube-shaped fish that lives on the sea floor. It doesn't have eyes. It only has light spots. And it has kind of like these whisker-like structures that allow it to sense its environment. And as it's slithering along on the sea floor, if it comes across a dead animal or a dying animal, it basically burrows into the animal and just kind of eats the animal from the inside out.
Wow.
So really kind of a disgusting creature. But one of the things that's really interesting is that if it is attacked by a predator, it basically secretes this slime that it uses as a defense mechanism. And in fact, the amount of slime that it can produce expands in volume 10,000 times from the initial amount that's secreted. And in fact, people hold up hagfish and create a disturbance that it responds to, and it'll secrete like 5.5 gallons of slime. And that slime, when it's secreted, gets into the gills of the predators, and they basically start to suffocate, and so they release the hagfish. So it's kind of a remarkable animal that produces this slime that has this really unusual set of properties, and that it can expand so rapidly and dramatically.
So if you could, tell us why the Navy is interested in this slime that expands so rapidly.
Well, it's all has to do with a protein that's found in the slime that causes the rapid expansion. And it's this fibrous-like protein that's extremely thin and very, very long. And in fact, it's the size of the protein is about 100 times thinner than a human hair, but 10 times stronger than a piece of nylon.
Wow.
And so it has properties that place it in the same category as Kevlar, and so the scientists think that they can use it as something for bulletproof vests and things like that. But the way in which that protein is packaged in the gland cells is like a ball of yarn, and when the eel secretes the the protein, there's another protein holding it all together that dissolves in the seawater, and boom, that yarn-like structure just expands exponentially at an extremely rapid rate. And so the researchers actually think that not only the fibers might be of value, but also the slime itself. They think they can use it for things like shark repellents or even as like a fire retardant type of material.
So with a limited number of hagfish, they'd have to produce some synthetic slime, right?
Yeah, I mean, the idea would be to either through genetic engineering, engineer bacteria or something that could produce the protein of interest, or to try to make synthetic versions of the slime by copying what they see in nature. And that whole exercise is called biomimicry or biomimetics.
And again, if you're just joining us, we are with Dr. Fazale Rana, VP of Apologetics and Research at Reasons to Believe. Reasons.org is where they're found online. Dr. Fuzz, do you also find it interesting how science always tries to imitate nature?
Yeah, to me, this is, I think really interesting. And as I mentioned, this is a whole area of engineering called biomimetics, where engineers are systematically turning to designs in nature to try to inspire new technology. And to me, that just highlights just how elegant biological systems are. I mean, it's remarkable to think that something as mundane and even as gross as the slime secreted by this hagfish could have such unusual properties that really border on ingenious. And that, to me, as somebody who is a Christian, I see that as reflecting the Creator's handiwork.
Wow, always great stuff. Dr. Fazale Rana, again, follow this man on Twitter at RTB_FRANA. Always a staple here to When's World. Dr. Fuzz, always a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for your time today.
Joey, it's been a pleasure to be with you.
Wrestling is so fake, Joey.
It's still real to me, damn it.
It is time for the male soap opera moment featuring the Bucci and the Wens.
Indeed it is. It's damn true. Here with the one, the only, Vincent Bucci.
That's right, everybody. We are back again for another edition of the male soap opera moment, and we are clearly here to show the world what true wrestling fandom is all about.
Now, this week we want to kind of go toward the Elimination Chamber, which is taking place this very Sunday on the WWE Network, which you can have for only $9.99. And so if you want, we can go down the card here, not necessarily going in order of importance, but just the way it's listed at the present time. So I want to start.
Ring the bell.
Ring the bell. The bell of life. Here we go. So let's take it on down to the Tag Team Championship, the Tag Team Turmoil match, which features current champions American Alpha taking on the Usos, the Ascension, the Vaudevillains, Slater and Rhino, and of course our good friends Tyler Breeze and Fandango.
Oh. Thank you, booking committee, for not making this a chamber match. Please, thank you.
Right.
If they had made this a tag, because I saw 6 teams, I'm like, they make this a chamber match, I'm going to go insane. Because the last time I tried a tag team chamber match, it did not work. This one I have a hard time calling. Like, I'm really looking at these teams, and I think the Usos need to win this match. And the reason I say that is, yes, the Usos have been tag team champions multiple times. But every time they were tag team, the last 2 times they were champions, they were baby faces.
Yep.
Now they've turned heel.
Yeah, they dropped the paint.
Yeah, they dropped the paint. They got the street thug clothes on now. They said, we're done pandering to the audience. So I felt when the tournament happened, they were going to win the championships to solidify their heel turn. Instead, they gave it to Slater and Rhino, so Slater can have the double wide and everything. It's on American Alpha, who are the most popular tag team on SmackDown, so they definitely are deserving of those belts. But I feel the Usos need that belt to validate their heel turn.
Absolutely.
So I think the Usos, I want them to win this Sunday. It's hard to call, but I think the Usos are going to take it just so they can finally get this heel turn back on track and get them to generate that level of, hate that they can get from the fans.
So what do you see happening with this match at Elimination Chamber, RKO versus the former Wyatt family member, Luke Harper?
Randy Orton is definitely winning. He just won the Royal Rumble. He's main eventing WrestleMania. He's not losing a match to Luke Harper, and it's just not happening. And even if Luke Harper gets to a point where he could win the match. Bray Wyatt would probably just interfere and help Orton anyway. So
right.
Randy is definitely taking this match.
Absolutely. Like you said, he has that pending WrestleMania match for the WWE Championship. So it wouldn't make sense for him to lay down for Luke Harper at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it made sense when he lost to John Cena on SmackDown because it's Cena and he's the champion. And also Orton got the pinfall on him during that tag team match. So it still kind of keeps them very even. Plus, there's no telling if whether or not what's going to happen, after the Chamber match. So Orton is not going to lay down for Harper.
And of course, we saved the best for last.
Yes.
As WWE Champion John Cena takes on AJ Styles, Bray Wyatt, Dean Ambrose, The Miz, and Baron Corbin in the Elimination Chamber.
This is going to be awesome. The Elimination Chamber is always one of the most brutal matches, and I think that I'm looking at this chamber, and this is the toughest thing I've ever had to call because I've been 50-50 for a while now. Because on the one hand, I see two possibilities coming out of this chamber. One, John Cena retains the title. He goes to WrestleMania, and him and Orton kind of have that one WrestleMania match to solidify the long-standing rivalry that they've had. Or, and this is where I'm mostly leaning towards, I think Bray Wyatt is going to take the title in the chamber, and then once Bray Wyatt is the champion and it's now official Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton at WrestleMania, at some point leading up to it, that's when Orton is going to turn on Bray Wyatt, and you're going to see an intense fight because you're going to find out Orton kept his friends close and his enemies closer.
Ooh, I like it. That's some really in-depth thought there, Vince Bucci. You know what I didn't like on SmackDown is that they put Baron Corbin on top of that little preview match that they did.
Yeah, the Fatal 4-Way.
I just thought, it's not even believable. Obviously, Ambrose isn't going to have the IC championship and the WWE Championship at the same time. We've seen how that works in the past, and it doesn't work.
It doesn't.
No, especially with so many deserving characters on the show. Come on, let's get real. So I will therefore eliminate Baron Corbin and Dean Ambrose from the mix there, leaving, of course, the champ himself, Cena, Styles, Wyatt, and The Miz. I'll go ahead and get rid of The Miz, too, because, he's not going to win.
We don't deserve that kind of punishment.
No, we don't.
We don't deserve that abuse.
Unless we're those fools in Guantanamo Bay here in the promo between Nikki and Natalya. I like where you're going in terms of Mania and the Wyatt family and all the intrinsic ties therein. I could see that happening, but I also see a wild card, and that wild card is Mr. Rowan returning at Mania.
Oh yeah,
altering the match and making sure Bray gets his due. And I honestly think Bray is due for something.
Yes, he is.
I mean,
absolutely.
He's like a thankless cult leader. You know what I mean? Some of his followers are leaving him. His other followers been hurt. Obviously, I think eventually we're going to see the turn, Orton against Bray himself. And it could happen at Mania. I can foresee the return of Rowan. But somehow, Bray Wyatt ending up WWE champion at WrestleMania because of Eric Rowan and his interference.
That could happen, I mean, this is Orton's second Rumble win going into Mania. So there's always the possibility that Bray Wyatt could still retain the title. Just because somebody wins the Royal Rumble does not guarantee they're going to walk out the champion. I mean, statistics show otherwise, but there's always a loophole or a possibility that can happen. So Bray could definitely retain the title, and I think that it would be great if he did, because Bray's one of those people that has deserved a push for the longest time.
Oh,
and
man.
They've made some bad, even though there's been a lot of bad booking decisions in the past, there's been multiple opportunities where they could have changed it. For a long time, they haven't. So like I said, I have a feeling Bray's going to win, but I would not bet money on it because the booking committee has swerved us with him in the past.
And we are up against a hard break. But if you want the entire rundown of SmackDown, Elimination Chamber matches, Monday Night Raw, and WWE Fastlane taking place in just a few weeks, head to SoundCloud.com, up in the search bar, WENZ World. Of course, it's a free app in the App Store, Google Play, or iTunes as well. That is where you can hear the male soap opera moment in its entirety, with no time constraints and 0 edits. And it's really fun because you get to hear all of our flaws and mistakes and laugh along with us or at us. Either way, it's entertainment. Hey, friends and listeners, if you'd like your organization, business, or brand to be represented in a family-friendly environment here in When's World, feel free to shoot me an email, wensworldradio@gmail.com. And of course, my last name spelled somewhat weirdly, so here it is, WENZ worldradio@gmail.com. You can also hit me up on Twitter, direct message, tweet, all that good stuff, at When's World Radio. Again, WENZ World Radio. Can't wait to talk next week. Take care.
Excellent!
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.